Today we're talking about automating your marketing, and we're going to be focusing on auto-response campaigns. I love these types of tools because it gives you an opportunity to stay in touch and connect with prospects when you are actually doing other things. The emails that you received this week are actually part of an auto-response campaign set up to deliver every day starting from a specific day. So, automating your marketing. I really am excited about being able to put together this program with the support of Constant Contact. I think they've got a fabulous toolkit with offers and promotions that really help small businesses. If you're not a Constant Contact customer, if you're using one of our trials and you need a little help after the program, please touch base with me. This is how you can follow up with me, ask questions after today's program. This session is really the last formal session of our 5-day email marketing bootcamp. We do have a bonus session starting right after this talking about, well, it's actually a demonstration of how to use the Constant Contact dashboard. And you've been sent an invitation for that as well. The thing that I love about auto-response campaigns and using the Constant Contact toolkit to deliver them is it really allows you to be a marketer, even when your business is about something entirely different. And it really makes it easy enough that anyone can be a marketer. Why the emphasis on auto-response campaigns? It really has a lot to do with the changes that we're seeing in marketing. When I started my career, and I won't even tell you how many years ago that was, the emphasis was really on finding lots of prospects, lots of big advertising campaigns, TV, radio, newspaper, to reach as many people as you possibly could in the hopes that a few would fall out and become customers. But what we've seen in recent years is that the pyramid has shifted. Now, a lot of this is due to social media and online marketing, but I think just a lot of maturation of the American consumer is at play. And today, what smart marketers are beginning to realize is that the vast majority of your marketing funds really need to be spent down here at the bottom at keeping and converting. And that if you do a good job here on the bottom and you are focused on really creating great relationships with customers, they are more likely to come back and buy from you again, and they're more likely to recommend you to friends. The business cycle or business experience in today's connected world looks kind of like this. People meet you and they have a great experience. And because they've had some kind of great experience, you earn the right to ask them to stay in touch, to join your email list. Now, this wow experience can be a sales interaction, or it can be a visit to your website and a download of that lead magnet that we talked about earlier this week. When they download it and they give you their email address, you're given the opportunity to stay in touch and continue to engage with them, sending follow-up emails that either drive them back to your business, back to your website, or drive them to social media where they engage with you there and introduce new people back to your business. Automation tools are good for you and for your customers. You know, when you create a lead magnet, you're getting clicks and downloads, you're encouraging people to come to your business, you're prompting people to make that next appointment. And in return, their customers are getting the things they want. They're getting coupons, they're getting not sales tools. They're getting information about how to use your products and services. They're getting information that they need. They're getting access to the right people when they need it. So creating a good lead magnet and then follow-up auto response system is a win-win. You get to stay in touch with people that you ultimately want to do business with, and those same people get information that they're looking for in a timely manner. Couple of things to keep in mind as you're thinking about whether or not it's worth pursuing this path. I mean, it takes work to set up a good auto response campaign, but when you look at the data, it becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly that you need to consider it. 91% of people say they check their email every day. 91%. That means your customers are opening up their laptops, looking at their telephones, and they're reading messages. And they're either reading messages from you or from your competitors. 82% of customers sign up for email on brand websites. So people time and time again will say, yeah, I did sign up for a newsletter. A lot of times they sign up expecting discounts, but they also sign up expecting information. And here's the real kicker. We know that email marketing will convert at 3 times the rate of social media. So what does that really mean? What it means, and I've seen this in play with all of our customers who we do both email and social campaigns for. I can run an ad on social media, and I can run a similar offer in an email newsletter. And then I can look at the redemption, and I will tell you time and time and time again, whether it's signing up for a preschool cooking class, or whether it's downloading a workbook or downloading a buyer's guide from one of my flooring clients, day in, day out, email gets higher conversions. Why? Because on social media, you're reaching more people, but you're also competing for the attention of those people. And no matter how attractive your information or your offer is, that cute little cat is going to distract them. When you send someone an email, at least for a limited period of time, the only thing they're looking at is that email. Some terms that you want to keep in mind as we go through the presentation this morning. The first, autoresponder. This is any kind of pre-designed automated email. Date-based triggers. These are automated emails that send out on birthdays or annual dates. We use date-based triggers for many of our home services clients. Plumbers and heating and air conditioning guys really like these because when you set up a new customer, they get a date-based trigger at 6 months and at a year reminding them to renew their service contract, make an appointment for a clean and check. Doctors' offices also really like date-based trigger campaigns. A contact. When I talk about a contact in today's program, I'm referring to any email address you already have. And a subscriber is a new email address. So this is someone who has filled out the form on your landing page. And campaigns are just the marketing messages or promotions. So today we're going to talk about what is automation, how you should know if you should use this type of campaign, some tips and tricks on using it the right way, and some next steps. Automation campaigns, and this is the thing I really love, is they can help you send information you wish you had the time to send. So, examples. I don't have a really high volume business, but there are days when things get very, very hectic, and we'll have weeks where I don't have time to come up and really think about following up on some of the proposals. But the truth is, I know that if I am so busy working on client projects now, if I don't follow up on the proposals, I won't have client projects in a month or 2 months. And so I've created some automated response campaigns. And every time I send a proposal, I add a client to the list, and they will get a series of email messages specifically about web design or branding or social media or whatever it was we were talking about. What that does is the notes are very short, very personal, and it allows me to stay in touch without actually having to remember to do it every few days. Very often, those email notes will prompt the customer to contact me and initiate the conversation that takes them to the next step. Autoresponders work while you're doing something else. You have an interaction of some kind, you add someone to a list, and then they get an email while you're off working with the next customer. How does it work? When a contact is added to a list, maybe they join via a web sign-up, maybe they filled out a form to get one of your lead magnets. Maybe they've been in a location where there was a text to join option. Maybe they signed up from Facebook, or maybe you manually add them to the list. They automatically get a message that welcomes them to your program. There are also date-based events, and here again you set up a milestone in advance. For example, we worked with a florist, and she would get the groom's email address so she could send them a reminder right before their 1-month anniversary and right before their 1-year anniversary that says, hey, you have an anniversary coming up. And for the 1 month it was, it's been 30 days since your wedding, tell your bride you'd marry her all over again, send her this rose. And then at the 1 year there was a bigger bouquet of flowers. And then every year on that date-based trigger, he gets another reminder. Now, my guess is that not every groom is going to buy flowers every year, but there's always that year where things get really hectic and you don't have time, and suddenly you're like, wow, I can just send this email. I can just respond to this email. I can click now, hit the buy now button, and I'm on my way. After an interaction, this is like after I have a sales conversation, a series of emails go out, and sometimes they can simply go after a previous email. So if you have a series of email messages, they can be set up to send 5 days after the last one. With date-based automation, you have one message and it is sent to existing customers. The messages are scheduled on a specific date and they're triggered by data in the contact record. So if you want to run a date-based automation program, you have to, when you add someone's email address, also add some kind of anniversary date that you want to work off of. List join automation, and this is the kind of automation that occurs when someone signs up for a form on your website or a text to join at a conference. Now they get a series of messages, and these go to new subscribers at any time. They go within a specific time period after joining the list. Maybe it's as soon as they join the list. Maybe it's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days afterwards. But the messages initiate when they join the list, and it's triggered. It starts when they subscribe. We have a workbook on our website that is how to write a business plan in 12 weeks. And so you download the workbook, you get the first email, and then every week for the next 12 weeks, you get another email. And it doesn't matter when you start. Maybe you start in January, and you're so excited about the program and you tell one of your friends about it, but they don't start till March, they'll be getting the first email as you're wrapping up the program. For both of these automation campaigns, these rules are consistent. Number one, it's something that you create in advance that's ready to go so that when it needs to be sent, you're off doing something else. I can set up these campaigns and go on vacation for a week, or go to a conference, or just simply be immersed in the day in, day out operations of my business, and I never have to worry about my communications being sent when they need to be sent. The second thing in both of these campaigns, these are short messages. These are not email newsletters with 4 different topics. Automated campaigns work best when they are focused around a specific message and a specific action. The other thing that is really important to keep in mind with your automation campaigns is that the content needs to be evergreen. You can't put seasonal references in an automated campaign because you don't know when that campaign will be sent. I can't guarantee that someone will sign up for the business plans in January. They may sign up in June. So make sure that the content is something that makes sense all year round. And make sure the content is something that doesn't change. I would never do an automated campaign around new X trends in my industry. Why? Because then I got to go back and change that campaign every time the trend changes. If you want to focus on trends, I would create a page on your website, and then every time you update your website, the next email drives people to that page. They will automatically see the newest information. And remember, these are short messages with one call to action. And you're going to see some examples later in the program, both good and bad, where I think people forget this idea of one call to action. It gives you an opportunity to create a lasting impression every time you interact with someone. If somebody visits your website or interacts with you on social media, or they get an email from you, it gives them, you start by giving them an incentive to join your mailing list. And you have to make it easy. If this is too cumbersome, people get hung up here, they won't take the next step. Remember, earlier this week we talked about creating landing pages that were simple to navigate and where you're not asking for a lot of information. And they subscribe. And when they do, they start getting these automatic messages, and hopefully they will take the next step, whether it's redeeming a coupon, setting an appointment, calling you, but some action that drives them back to your business, that gives you an opportunity either to make the sale or simply continue the conversation. So, do they make sense for you? Well, take a look at these questions, and if any of these are a yes, then probably. Number one, do you find yourself sending the same information over and over again? If you do, you may want to consider an auto-response campaign. We see this a lot with medical offices. When they get a new patient, there's tons of paperwork that have to be filled out, and an auto-response campaign or an orientation kit that lets them know, here's what's happening, here's what you need to bring to your next appointment, here are the forms that you have to fill out. Instead of overwhelming them in one great big package, you can set up a drip campaign that sends them what they need as they get prepared. When we kick off a web design project, we're looking at automating some of that initial setup stuff, again, to get customers the information they need as something is starting. If you find yourself forgetting to send information to new customers or prospects, the one thing I don't want to do is walk into a web kickoff meeting and have somebody say, hey, did anybody send the customer the kickoff document? Having an auto response campaign prevents that. If you believe that each customer and prospect should feel valued, then you may want to consider an auto response campaign that welcomes new customers, thanks them, makes them feel comfortable with the decision that they made to do business with you. It gives you an opportunity to create a lasting first impression, and do that right away. Someone is interested in your business, they filled out a form, don't make them wait 2 weeks before they figure out that they're regretting that decision or they're happy about that decision. If your business, if you have multiple products and services that appeal to different niche audiences, then you have these specialized sub-audiences. Auto-response campaigns allow you to communicate directly with different groups instead of always delivering a one-size-fits-all message. If you have in your business, if you are tied to specific anniversary dates, whether it's customers' birthdays, service renewals, if you want to communicate with people on a regular basis, well, then auto-response campaigns can help you achieve your business goals. And while I'm on the word goal, here's how the process starts. You need to figure out what you want to achieve and then develop a campaign to do that. Now, the campaign may start with someone signing up for a newsletter, but the real goal for the Half Moon Yoga firm was to get people in the classes. So if somebody signs a visitor list, there should be 1 or 2 emails, one thanking them maybe for coming, and another with a coupon off their next session. And what's nice about creating an auto-response campaign like this is it becomes very measurable. You can see right away, 100 people signed up, 25 opened each of the emails, and 10 people came, or 100 people signed up, 50 looked at the campaign, and 30 signed up. You can see as you vary these messages and test different alternatives, which ones deliver the most positive responses in the long run. What's nice is after someone subscribes, let me go back. There we go. Once someone subscribes and they fill in their information, you can give them an opportunity to tell you what they're most interested in. Now, when I use a subscription form on my website, and whether I'm using FormStack or Gravity Forms or Bloom, those forms point people at specific lists. So if somebody fills out a web design form for a web design worksheet versus a graphic design worksheet, I know what they're interested in, and I will send them different follow-up information. Giving people an opportunity to pick which lists they're in gives you the opportunity to treat people as individuals. They've all signed up, but when they tell you what they're interested in, now you can start targeting your messages. You may want to talk about events and new products and special discounts and free shipping and your product guides, but odds are all these people don't want to hear about all of those things. And instead, what you can do is send targeted messages. On Monday, people who are interested in product guides get the product guides. So he'll hear and she'll get an email. And then on Tuesday, you might send an email just about shipping specials. And so he'll get it and she'll get it. Oh, and he gets it too. And then later, maybe a week later, you've got a special event where you're not going to waste the time of people who don't care about the events, because relevance is one of the main things that will drive people to either stay on your list or unsubscribe. If I get too many emails that are not relevant to me, even if there is some information there that I care about, I'm more likely to opt out. So step back and look at everything you've got and think about what you can offer. And we covered these in more detail earlier this week, but really a quick review. You can introduce employees. This is really cool when people sign up for a service appointment with one of my heating and air conditioning contractors. They get an email that says, Joe will be coming out to see you on Wednesday, and here's a link to Joe's profile. And so those emails, people are dropped into the list based on who their service tech is, and it's a really nice way to kind of break the tension at the front door. You can send recipe collections or collections of any kind of blog posts. If you've written a series of articles and they've done well, put them together in one document and offer them either as a complete collection or give someone the opportunity to sign up for the recipe of the week. We have one client where we're doing lots of new recipe development for them, and we've been doing it for a really long time, so there are literally hundreds of recipes that we can send people if they want to sign up. You can use drip campaigns to send handouts and cheat sheets and how-to guides. Maybe your drip campaign or your autoresponse campaign is a series of coupons and promotional offers. Take a look at what you have. Do an inventory of all of your marketing assets, and then think about what you can offer in these autoresponse programs. Whatever you do, again, make it timeless, make it evergreen. And these 3 rules: it shouldn't expire, there's a call to action, and it's short, sweet, and informative. It's something that people who are receiving that email can use right away. Scheduling. This is a huge question. How often? How much is too much? Should I do it once a day, once a week, once a month? And my answer here really is that it depends on your business. Think about your sales cycle. If you're selling a product that people are going to think about for several months before they buy, maybe you're dealing in a B2B environment where you make a presentation and then they meet with a committee and then there's other reviews and then there's budget, your auto-response campaign could be every 2 weeks or once a month, and that would be fine. Conversely, if you're in a sales environment where people are making rapid decisions, I'm going to go back to my roots in HVAC. The average customer spends 72 hours, 3 days in the buying cycle. And so the minute you do that sales proposal, you don't really have time to wait. You need to be sending information rapid fire to that customer and then stop about a week later because they're done. So every business has a different rhythm. When we do a web proposal, we set our campaigns up, I think it's about every 5 days they hit. We have other clients that we do an every 2-week type of program. We're going to share some examples and kind of give you an idea of what these campaigns might look like. Now, these are examples that I got from Constant Contact. These are not programs that we've run with our clients, and so there are some things that I like and some things that I don't like in these examples, and I'll share my opinions about both. Liberty Jane Clothing is a ladies' pattern website. So they sell you patterns to make dresses and shirts. And so they're selling this patterns. They have regular newsletters, and you can see here that they're sending them on the 7th and the 27th. Now, this is one of those things that, quite honestly, I disagree with. I think there should be some consistency in your newsletters. So if you're going to send them every 3 weeks, send them every 3 weeks on the same day. Become predictable. You will actually have better open rates. When I started sending email marketing for my company, we sent a newsletter once a month. Then we went to twice a month. Then we were sending them every 10 days. And our open rates dropped. And then we went to once a week, same day, same time, and our open rates actually increased. So I'm a big fan of consistency. This doesn't work for me on a regular newsletter. And it looks like they send a regular newsletter, and then they've got some promotions that they send their customers. So there's a newsletter, a promotion, and a newsletter. Again, I would be a little more consistent. And then here we've got our auto response series. So when someone joins up for their newsletter, they've got like 5 newsletters, boom, 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 that go in rapid succession. I think the series is good. I think the information they're sending is good. I think it's a little too closely linked together. Because I don't think that someone who is shopping for patterns, and I'm sure there are some people, but most people, after they sign up for information on patterns, it's not their life. They don't need something every single day for a week. So here's where you sign up, and you Trendy Designs for Dolls and Daughters. I think it's a great, beautiful site, nice little invitation. And then you get the first email from her, and it's a welcome email. And here's my first thing that I don't love is, number one, she's using links instead of buttons. I would use buttons. And number two, she's got 2 different patterns she's giving away. Instead of having 2 little links, I would create one link that drives to a place that someone can download both patterns. Keeps the email much cleaner, much less confusing, and there's one call to action, because now I have to decide, do I want the first pattern or the second? And if I want both, I have to get the pattern, come back to the email, get the pattern again. So I love the fact that she's sending this welcome email. Hey, thanks for joining our club. Here's a gift. Honestly, I don't believe she would have any fewer people signing up if she gave away 1 pattern instead of 2. The second email is about connecting on social media. And I am not sure that I would necessarily try to drive someone to every social platform. Why? Because different people are going to participate on different platforms. She's trying to kind of show you a reason to look at different sites, but by putting them all here at once, it kind of has a little bit of a desperate feel. How I would probably do this is I would focus on one of the social media platforms and have it in some of the other email communications. I would not necessarily drive people to all of the social patterns from one email. I've just signed up for your newsletter. This is like, hey, you said hello to me at breakfast today. Would you like to have lunch and dinner and coffee tomorrow? I would pick one and focus on that instead. The next one is a link to both the blog and the ebook and some other, and their charity. Again, there's like 4 different things. Pick one. I think the emails themselves are great. I think there's a nice story here, but I would pick one and then use these others for follow-up communications. The thing about autoresponders is you're already making the decision that this is going to be an ongoing conversation. And here's the last one, a place where you can visit the Pixie Packs page. And here she really only has, well, she has, again, 2 offers. I would pick one. And now a week later, she's like, hey, you've been on my list a whole week. How are we doing? I would push this out a little bit, but it's a nice follow-up. And she's in a retail business, and she's in the business of making sales. And so I think it's appropriate that she's driving people back to buy more. And I love the personal. If you are a solopreneur, it is just you in your business, adding a picture of you to your communications is a really nice touch. And this is a really nice picture. She's smiling. She's inviting that conversation. Oh, and there's one more. Okay. So I liked that campaign. I thought there was a lot of good information in it. I thought from a timing perspective, maybe there was a bit too much. Let's take a look now at how a B2B company might use the same tool. Again, they've got 2 regular newsletters, and I don't need to go back on my soapbox about that. They have a nice autoresponder series that's spread out a little bit more. Someone joins, they get the first email, the second email, which is a link to a blog post, then they get a promotion, then they get a special offer. So you see how the campaign is, this list building mastery class code is actually part of their regular series. So there's 4 pieces in this program. It starts when you visit their website. They've got this nice sign-up form, and they're telling you what you're going to get if you sign up. The first email is great. It's a welcoming video. It's a welcoming email. You've got a picture of the consultant, and here's the link to the first video. And this is sent immediately as soon as someone is signing up. And if you remember in our lead magnet landing page conversation, we talked about that immediate gratification. Here's where I think it breaks down a little bit. If this email could just stop after the first video, it would be perfect. Here's the video in this series. Next week, here's what you're going to get, and then there's the video. The truth is people are busy. They're not going to stay and watch, or the majority of them are not going to stay and watch 2 videos. They may watch 1, and then they're going to get distracted and move on. So he's got this wonderful content, and I think he's wasting it by putting 2 videos in 1 email. The next ones look the same. They've got the same look and feel. Again, I would do 1 but not both in the same email. And then he's got a 3rd series. I love the use of video in those auto-response campaigns. There's some amazing statistics, I think we shared them yesterday, about how much adding video to an email will increase the open and click-through rates. Auto-response series for a nonprofit. I love this one. I think these guys really nailed it. They've got they have a very specific mission, and they stay really focused on that. They need to get people emotionally vested in their project. They need to create that engagement, create that level of interest. So how do they do it? Here, the LEAF project, they do, I think, everything right. their autorespons campaign after that you sign up, the first email you get is really simple. Thanks for your interest in our mission. We're going to share some information over the next couple of days, and you can expect to receive 4 more emails, and you can unsubscribe at any time. So they do a really nice job. Here's the program. Here's how many emails you get. And so they also tell you that there's an end in sight. One time I gave my email address to a retail store, and I started getting an email every day. And I don't shop that often, and it was completely overwhelming. And so I unsubscribed because I had no idea when they were going to stop. The other thing I love about this is there's one video, and their call to action is read our story. Very clear. That's their welcome email. The next email is about fighting forest fires. There's this compelling image of a forest fire. There's this dramatic video. And right here above the video is the interactive map. I probably would have it say view interactive map. But I think it's really solid. There's not a lot of reading. I can get to this really quick, and then I can move on. And I really like that they really stayed very, very focused. Their next objective, so they've introduced their mission. They've really shown you kind of the need for it. Their next objective is to get you to see and to feel more closely about what is involved in reforestation. So we looked at the devastation with the fire. Now you've got the next step. So not only is this all good information and it's all compelling, they're doing it in this timeline that builds a story. So here's a video about people planting trees, and then the anatomy of a tree. And you notice that they have at the bottom of all of these emails the very subtle stay in touch, stay updated. They're not screaming, join us, join us, join us, but they are very specifically. It's a visually straight line down. Logo, video, one call to action, social media. And so in their 4th email, they tell you, we've got cool stuff and we're always updating it, and you can find it on Facebook. And then they do a screen grab so you see what their Facebook updates look like. This is one of the best examples of selling social media that I have seen in marketing campaigns, because they very specifically tell you, here's what we do, here's how you connect, here's an example. And then at the end of the 2-week period, it's a very simple request. You can help us by volunteering or donating a tree. And that's the only thing they're asking for. To me, this is probably one of the best drip campaigns I have seen, because it's clean, it's simple, it's singularly focused, it has one call to action. If you take nothing else away, go back and look at this campaign again and again, because they do it right. So, as we're wrapping up, some do's and don'ts. When people end up on your list, periodically remind them that they subscribed. You're getting this email because. Make sure there's a clear and easy way for them to unsubscribe. If you're using Constant Contact, that's built in. I had someone who put me on a drip campaign, and I looked all over that email. I could not find an unsubscribe button, and I was really annoyed, and I finally just had to send them a personal email saying, please take me off your list, please take me off your list. And I hated to have to do that, because it made it feel personal, And it's not that I don't like you, it's your information isn't relevant for me. If you're going to send an auto-response campaign, tell people how many emails they can expect. You know, when you signed up for our week-long boot camp, you're going to get an email every day. We told you that when you signed up. Set one email to hit them pretty quickly after they join. Welcome them, make them feel part of the team. One of the things that you have to keep in mind is people will forget that they signed up. And offer an attractive thank you offer. Create, you know, in that first email, here's a link to a video. It doesn't have to be a free coupon. Here's an extra how-to guide. Here's a sample of this. Here's something that is our way of saying thanks for joining. And don't forget to introduce your brand, your colors. I don't know that you need to tell them your mission statement, but make sure people know that this content is coming from you. Ready to get started? This week we've given you all the tools that you need. So today you need to think about how you're going to use it, identify goals, start creating some segmented lists. Go back and create that lead magnet and landing page and think about what is appropriate timing. Use social media, email, and in-person to promote and attract subscribers and then launch your program. And step number 8, though it's not at the bottom of the page, is measure your results. Look at what kind of quality conversations you're having as a result of your program. You can do this. You can be a marketer. Questions about this or any of the topics that we've talked about, feel free to go ahead and type them in the questions section of the program or follow up with me afterwards. Again, this is how you can reach me, and kind of a quick reminder, you will get one more email this afternoon with a link to all of the recordings. I hope you've enjoyed our week-long boot camp, and I hope to see you at future seminars. Have a great day.